If you have the right DNA and you love the game and you love to compete, then you're going to be a great fit, with this team, because we're about winning. I mean, this is a winning franchise. We've had constant success of winning and being in the playoffs, and my plan is to return us to that level of consistency, and that takes commitment. That takes players that really are invested in being great players and being a...
Kelly Koff has returned, and she's not playing around. The Indiana Fever's new general manager revealed shocking information about head coach Stephanie White. Did you think Caitlin Clark was making changes? Wait until you hear what happens next. The entire Indiana Fever will be completely transformed for the upcoming season. Fever supporters, get ready for a whole new dynasty. Things are going to get heated.
Christie Sides, the head coach of the Fever, she should be fired. Lynn Dunn, the general manager of the Fever, she should be fired. And the water boy, Bobby Boucher, or whoever the water boy, fire them all. They've turned this Caitlin Clark to the WNBA into the Fire Festival 2.0, and there has to be a firing squad for this level of incompetence. Has to happen.
Let's start by being honest. Prior to elimination, the Fever had been on fire. After 8 years, they finally qualified for the playoffs. And superstar Caitlin Clark is responsible for it all. In her debut season, this woman broke 62 records, led the league in assists and three-pointers, attracted an unprecedented number of spectators, and exemplifies grace and class off the court. Here's the thing, though. Kelly Koff is determined to return the championship to Indiana. A storm is on its way, and it will hit hard. She's beginning to clean the house. Krauskoff's choice about Stephanie White is just the first step. Make sure you subscribe to the channel before we begin. Are you prepared? Come on.
Although it didn't end the way we wanted it to end, there was a lot of optimism. There was a lot of, enthusiasm around, this is a new beginning, it's a new start. And, I think it's great for our franchise, it's great for our fans, and we're excited to see, who can join us and help us as we continue to move forward and continue to be a great state.
Do you recall a time when it was sufficient to just make the playoffs? No more. Fever supporters are furious, and Stephanie White is the main culprit.
Besides, you are an absolute abomination of a head coach. I can't believe you actually have a job.
Let's talk about Stephanie White for a moment. The Fever did make it to the postseason, but what of her contributions? Not only are viewers raising their eyebrows at some of the court's highly questionable decisions, but analysts are joining in. Consider that game in the final week of the regular season against the Las Vegas Aces. Aaliyah Boston scored the game-tying three after Stephanie White set up a play. Boston, the same Boston that has a 26.9% three-point shooting percentage. We love AB, but tell me how that makes sense when three of the best shooters in the league, Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell, are standing there. And it's not just one terrible call. This season, Stephanie White's player rotations have drawn criticism. Her starters are all playing a lot of minutes, and she is exhausting them. A skilled coach should be able to rotate starters effectively to maintain continuity on the floor, even though Clark's around 36 minutes per game speaks to the quality of the bench. Strategic isn't the first word that comes to mind when discussing game management. Do you recall the game against the Sparks on May 28th? Los Angeles had an 11-0 run. An astute coach would have recognized this early on.
Incompetence is why that game ended up that way. She doesn't call a timeout for about a 17-minute span from the 7+ minute mark of the third quarter to about the final minute of the fourth quarter.
This is where things get really nasty, though. Stephanie White's defense for the Fever is practically a red carpet for opposing teams. They are throwing up points like it's out of style and have one of the weakest defenses in the league. You would think Krauskoff would be looking for a new coach with all of this attention, wouldn't you? Incorrect. She recently publicly praised Stephanie White and boasted about her leadership skills. She did not, however, address Stephanie White's actual teaching abilities. How about that quiet? It is really loud. Fans are going crazy. One of the most intriguing players to join the league in a long time, Caitlin Clark, is being watched as her potential being wasted. Clark is putting up incredible numbers, but imagine what she could achieve with a coach who knows how to get the most of her. But there appears to be a strategy for dealing with the Fever this winter. Despite her recent admiration for Stephanie White, Krauskopf is preparing for a significant reorganization that may not include her. And that makes sense when you consider it. Why would you turn down a coach before releasing the present one or finding out who is coming in? Krauskopf is aware that doing so would simply place you in a difficult situation. However, the squad cannot continue to operate under this leadership group, thus things must change quickly.
First of all, I just want to start by saying, anytime you're asked to return to a place that you helped build, you had a hand in building, it's special. So I certainly wasn't, thinking of this as an option at the point in my career where I am, but I'll say Mel Raines is a good recruiter. I'm going to have her help me with some free agents. So I'm really grateful to Mel, to Herb Simon, the Simon family, for trusting me to be the steward of the franchise again. I mean, this is a seminal moment in women's sports. It's a big opportunity to be a part of this rising tide that we're all experiencing. I think being a part of the first 18 years and building the franchise from the beginning gave me a lot of insight, institutional knowledge, 6 years on the NBA side, to be ready for this moment, to leverage all that experience, and certainly look at this as a new business.
Because the entire squad is having difficulties, not just Clark. Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell have the potential to rule the league. Rather, they are confined within a system that prevents them from moving forward. Every other day, especially on game days, the hashtag fire Stephanie White trends, and calls for reform abound on fan forums. Stephanie White needs to go because people are researching information, examining game footage, and doing everything but hiring skywriters to get their point out. The problem is that Koff is unwavering, at least for the time being. According to reports, Stephanie White is part of her vision for this team. How long, though, can she disregard her fans? How long before the pressure becomes unbearable? Or is Krauskopf engaging in a long-term strategy?
You don't know how to use Caitlin Clark's strengths. You don't know how to play to her weaknesses. You don't know how to draw up a simple out-of-bounds play. You don't know how to calm down muddy waters. You don't know how to call a timeout and relax everybody's emotions. You don't know how to talk to the referees. All you know how to do is wave your arms and defensive slide on the sidelines. And Christie Sides, I'm tired of seeing it every single game.
For now, at least, Krauskopf is unwavering in her criticism of Stephanie White. Is this all for show, though? Is she only handling her team's public relations behind the scenes in a business manner? Her goal is simple: to win a championship. And this is what everyone is talking about. A wild card that might change everything is at work. Let's talk about Kelly Krauskopf for a moment. This woman isn't just observing from the sidelines. She has a plan that centers on building a winning team around Caitlin Clark. You read that right, a championship team that will win the trophy, not just a playoff contender. This woman has experience in both the NBA and the WNBA, so she knows what she's doing. At this point, she might not be revealing all of her cards. What is Krauskopf's initial action then? Keeping Kelsey Mitchell's Fever jersey on.
Be where we are today without Kelsey Mitchell. I mean, she's clearly a very foundational piece. She's got 7 years of being in and out of this building. She went through a lot as we were preparing to be even better, as a better place to play, a new practice court, a new arena, all the remodels. I mean, Kelsey went through all of that, and she got better. She never put her head down. She kept playing hard and did everything she could. So she's extremely important to the success of the future. We intend to, have lots of conversations and make sure she knows that, but I think she does know that.
Mitchell scored 19.2 points per game last season, which is excellent. Krauskopf is aware that she must master that ability. This is where things get intriguing though, since she's not only focusing on offensive. Last year, the Fever's defense was essentially a doormat. Do you recall? Indeed, Krauskopf has noticed this as well. She is discussing the addition of some noteworthy defensive talent. And believe me when I say that it has the ability to blow up the league when combined with Clark's scoring prowess.
This is a place where players can come and get better and be surrounded by an organization that supports you, where they're going to have everything they need to be successful. So if you have the right DNA and you love the game and you love to compete, then you're going to be a great fit.
The problem is that Krauskopf is considering the long term rather than just the upcoming season. She is considering the draft, free agency, and building a team that can finish when Clark dishes up those amazing assists. We are discussing a team that will be unbeatable, quick, and astute. What about Stephanie White, you may be asking? Things start to get interesting at that point. While praising Stephanie White and talking about her leadership, Krauskopf doesn't address her real coaching influence. You have to pay attention to what they don't show you, much as when you watch a magician.
We've got to get to a level of toughness. When things are going south on us, we're not stopping the bleeding. We've got to be able to, I told them earlier, like that's what's going to help us, is when we figure out how to be able to, if somebody keeps punching you, they just keep punching us. We've got to be able to respond to it. We've got to give some of that back. And that's where we are. We've got to get to another level of mental toughness.
Then there's Connecticut's Stephanie White. Do you recall her? The former coach of the Fever is now available. It's not a bad notion, and fans are going crazy, pleading for Krauskopf to bring her back. Krauskopf is keeping this one close to her breast, but White knows how to win and is familiar with the franchise. We are aware that Krauskopf isn't afraid to take significant action. Given that Lynn Dunn had previously been Krauskopf's right-hand lady, her appointment of Amber Cox to take over as general manager is a big departure.
Some movement in the front office is happening at the Indiana Fever. The team announcing a former Dallas Wings executive will now be the general manager.
Who is to say that she won't apply for the coaching role in the same way? How long Krauskopf can withstand crowd pressure is the real question, though. With almost 17,000 fans attending home games and millions watching from home, the Fever have the highest average attendance in the league. There are many voices calling for reform, and the pressure will only grow as Clark garners more exposure.
CEO, she's all in. Everybody in this company's all in. Everybody in this city's all in. And I think having that experience and gone through those days of, tough roads, everybody in the league has gone through it. And we're all bonded by what the possibilities are at this next level.
What is Krauskopf's ultimate goal in this situation? Is this all part of a bigger scheme, or is she really staying with Stephanie White? Is she holding off on hiring a new coach who can help Clark reach his greatest potential? Or does she perceive something in Stephanie White that none of us do? To be honest, everyone's attention is on Stephanie White, but they're not paying attention to the bigger picture. Krauskopf is known for producing winners, and her quiet speaks volumes. What if the real game changer is in the front office rather than on the court?
Christie Sides, why are you making it so your players are the only ones that feel like they need to speak up?
Krauskopf must decide whether to make a significant move for someone like Stephanie White or stick with her and run the risk of a fan uprising. We're talking about the franchise's future here, not simply victories and losses. On the one hand, retaining Stephanie White could be a sign of stability. The team has improved, they have ended their postseason skid. The question is, though, is that sufficient? What specifically did Stephanie White do to make it happen? Let's face it, not everyone has been persuaded by her coaching, and fans are calling for change.
You see Becky Hammon going crazy on the sidelines. You see Becky Hammon yelling and screaming, getting at the refs, getting in their ears, challenging calls, not letting blatant missed calls take place.
Hiring a new coach, however, is a quite different matter. Stephanie White has a winning record and is familiar with the team, but it takes time for new coaches to implement new plays and systems. This could hinder Caitlin Clark's development, and can they afford to hit the reset button when Clark is lighting up the scoreboard? This is when things get difficult. Krauskopf publicly praised Stephanie White and discussed her leadership, but she made no mention of her instruction or tactical influence. That's similar to your boss telling you that you have a great personality, but you know the but will come.
It's hard to not be impressed. I think the outside noise what she had to endure as a coach and what they had to endure as a staff to keep that team focused and together. I mean, it takes time. It took a long time for teams that I've had to gel and to get together. I mean, years. It doesn't happen in 4 months. It takes a few years. So I was really impressed with the progress that they made and how, Christie is a resilient leader. She's a culture builder. I know just that she's got that kind of, stamina to stick to it and stick to her plan. And she's a good person and she's a great leader. And I was impressed.
What is Krauskopf's ultimate goal in this situation? Is this all a part of a bigger long-term plan, or is she really remaining with Stephanie White? Because keep in mind that she is considering more than simply the upcoming season. The long game is what she's doing. Building a system that makes the most of Caitlin Clark's special ability to control the game, push tempo, and create exceptional scoring opportunities for everyone around her is the goal of free agency, the draft, and roster creation. What if this seeming steadiness is a tactic? What if Krauskopf is waiting for the right opportunity to make her actual move, and her public backing is only one facet of a larger scheme? She has a history of making thoughtful choices rather than impulsive ones. She doesn't show her hand right away. She acts after building, and for that reason, Indiana is currently the center of attention. Because the front management may already be planning several steps ahead, assessing timing, opportunity, and long-term fit for a championship-level system around Caitlin Clark, while fans are preoccupied with coaching disputes. The pressure is increasing now that Stephanie White is involved in the discussion. Every choice is important. Every action will be evaluated. And each outcome will influence this franchise's next phase. Are we witnessing the beginning of a complete transformation, or is Indiana continuing on its current path? In any case, one thing is certain. Creating a dynasty around Caitlin Clark is now the main focus of everything, and the Fever's future will be determined by what happens next.